a video yesterday, I took some time to talk about the Final Fantasy Through the Ages cards, which are my biggest nitpick for like visual identity within the set. These cards to me don't look good. And it's not just the art. And I want to clarify that. It's not just the art. Some people got very confused when they watched 2 minutes of the video and proceeded to leave a comment without watching the rest, that I was criticizing the art. In the video, I talked about how great the art actually is for some of them. This one, for example, for the Ancient Copper Dragon is gorgeous. This is some iconic art that I can get behind. The problem I mentioned, not only for that, but the other ones that I don't like the art of so much, but I can understand why other people like it, like this one, the Yuki, the ninja lady with the big star. I get that this is a nostalgic piece of art, but I think the way it's been framed, the border treatment used, the backgrounds, there's a lot of things that have been left lacking in terms of how they've integrated it into the game. All a conscious design choice to try and be as minimalist as the Final Fantasy surrounding media and its own card game are as well. It was a design choice. As I was editing the video, this was revealed. This is, I don't know who the fuck's watermarking their preview cards. I don't know. This is a Japanese copy of a Ristic study using some art that is, well, it's art, but it's a screenshot from an FMV in the game Final Fantasy X. Or it might be a piece of art used for the promotion of the game that is like an unused still from the FMV render because it's so similar in quality. I'll talk more about that in a moment. I want to just take a moment to talk about how I really don't like this trend of using not only art from other games. I spoke about it in yesterday's video, and they did this for Warhammer, a little bit for Doctor Who, and I was doing it for Final Fantasy as well. I get using iconic art from those series as there's a kind of expectation of it, right? To see your favorite moments in a game, but to see things ripped literally as a scene or a shot from a video game, whether it be the FMV or gameplay, or directly from the TV show as we saw with Arcane, it is lazy. It lacks a lot of the creative and interesting flair that I like from Magic. The seeing things realized within Magic by Magic's artist, for example. So let's talk about that now in today's video. If you want to buy single or sealed product, including Final Fantasy cards, you can do so from CoolStuffInc.com in North America using the code KENOBI at checkout to get 5% off your order, and it helps to support the show. And in Europe, it's magicmadhouse.co.uk, baby. Again, you can use the on-screen code now, KENOBI-MAY, to get 5% off all non-pre-order and non-sale items when buying from the store. So this piece of art can be found floating around the internet with a trademark of 2001. So I'm assuming this is from promo shots from Final Fantasy X. The art on the Magic card is quite high resolution, as you'd expect from a Magic card, thank goodness. So it is some upscaled version of it, or some version of it that's not available on the internet at this high resolution they've got from Square Enix. As far as I understand it, not being a Final Fantasy X fan, this is a screenshot from an FMV in Final Fantasy X. That is a very core key moment that a lot of Final Fantasy X players have a very big connection to. Reading some of the comments about this across social media, people are in love with this moment and are happy to see it on a Magic card. There's just two weird issues with it. The firstly is the ripping of actual stuff from directly from a video game and like a TV show with Arcane. I'm going to park that and come back to that in just 1 second. But I also want to say, like, what's this got to do with Ristic study? The need to study the mysticism of the magical arts of, do you pay the one or I get more knowledge? Why her crying in the water? Is that her not paying the one? Is she just bored to tears of playing against fucking Ristic study? Is he happy in this shot? I'm not even really sure what the fuck's going on, if I'm honest. From what I can see, a lot of people are just a bit puzzled. Even people who played Final Fantasy X are confused as to what this has to do with Ristic study. So that's my first point. It really feels like they've taken a card that is absolutely a massive, like, pack selling chase card. If you don't know, Ristic Study is a staple in Commander. It is not very good in 60 card formats, but this is an absolute staple in 100 card formats like Commander. And thusly, it's a card that everyone wants to own. It's got a demanding price tag. It needs more reprints of different arts because unfortunately some of the original art is done by an artist now who's, should we say, estranged from Magic for giving her artwork to transphobic causes. Oh, people are going to comment down below for me bringing politics into this, but it's true. I would prefer to have most of Teresa Nelson's cards redone in different ways that I can move away from having to remember that Teresa Nelson exists. Trans rights are human rights. But I do have to guess that adding this very famously, like, emotionally resonant scene from Final Fantasy X to a card that is a popular chase card for Commander is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels insincere. It feels cynical in a way. In other card games especially, we get instances of cards being worth a load of fucking money because they are chase cards for their resonance with the fan base and certain parts of the community. So for example, EVs and evolutions in Pokemon and Charizards just tend to carry some sort of price tag. That happens in Magic a little bit with like the casuals that really want all the angels that aren't good in competitive play, but for the most part, cards in Magic tend to hold a value, but in part because the collectability, there's not many of them around, but primarily because they're good in the game. This feels like an attempt to capture that kind of buzz, but also with a card that's playable in order to create an incredibly exciting and expensive Magic card and terms of secondary market demand and pack sales driving force. We saw it with anime arts of things like Smothering Time and stuff, really driving demand. So I guess where's the most anime thing you can do? Some people are going to not like me saying this, but as a non-Final Fantasy playing person who's not really into the weeaboo shit and all the anime shit, Final Fantasy feels like the peak of anime culture, for normies at least. So you're probably wondering what that is on my shirt. I think it's actually toothpaste from my daughter when I took her to nursery this morning. I didn't notice before I recorded this video. Being a dad is hard. And you know what's even harder? Is seeing that all of you people aren't subscribing to the channel. If my stats are correct on the back end of YouTube, the vast majority of people watching my videos aren't actually subbed to the channel. So if I could just remind you, if you like the stuff I do, head down just below the video, click that sub button. It's really easy, and it does help to support the channel in some ways. Thank you. So that's what I think this is, a rather cynical attempt to create a very super duper chase card because of a very emotional moment combined with a very playable card. Now, why the fuck is it just a screenshot from the games? Well, this whole entire frame treatment, this whole entire slot is meant to be concept art, as far as I understand it, from the games. Perhaps this is a concept art more than a direct shot from the FMV? Okay, I'm looking at the fucking scene on YouTube here. It doesn't appear to be a rip from the FMV, so it actually seems to be a promotional image. That's a little bit better. That makes me feel less frustrated, I guess. So if we talk about it in the literal sense, it's not an actual screen grab directly from the game or the FMV within the game. It appears to be a high resolution, like promo image of a slightly different angled shot from when they rendered this stuff up back in 2001 or similar. I don't want to say that CG art isn't real art. It looks like people really resonate with this image. It's available in other collectible cards for Final Fantasy and does show up as a card in the Final Fantasy card game as well. But to me, it does look really cheap, if I'm honest. As an eye looking from the outside in, I think it looks like one of those dead 90s card games where it's just shots from like the movie or the TV show that it's based upon or the video game that it's based upon without any actual artists being used to render it into some form or view that is coherent with the rest of the game. Now, I guess when it comes to Magic the Gathering now, nothing is really very coherent anyway, so is that much of an argument? And perhaps, honestly, like with SpongeBob where they got a Magic artist to re-render the original scenes, primarily probably because they couldn't get high-res versions of the original stills. So these are actually drawn by a Magic artist to look just like the memes, but at a higher resolution, slightly different, ever so slightly different. Is that really arbitrary? Like, why do I want that in the game? I just think it would make the card look better and have more of an impact in a way that I want, I guess. I want to see this world rendered by the fantastic and incredible team of artists that work on Magic on a daily basis. And I mean daily basis because I assume the amount of stuff they're making, there's just art being produced constantly for Magic, right? It's actually insane how many Magic cards are being produced at any one time. I looked at the Commander spoilers today, it's like 90 new cards there. There's 200 cards that's not fully spoiled for the main set yet. It's crazy how much content there is around Final Fantasy, secret lairs, there's so much stuff. And that kind of makes me wonder if that's where this is. This is a corner being cut, right? They've already commissioned, what is it, 300, 400, maybe, 450, 500 pieces of art for this set. They need to cut corners somewhere, otherwise it's just a very expensive endeavor for them. So for some reason, it's this particular slot in the booster, this particular frame that gets all the old artwork just slotted in. I do have to wonder if I'd like this a lot more if it was also in a traditional Magic frame or had some sort of framing done. I still think this minimalist look doesn't look very good. It looks significantly worse than even the Japanese showcase frames we've seen from Duskmourn, for example. Ultimately, it's absolutely aesthetic choice, and some people might like the absolute one-for-one recreation of the exact art that you've seen before onto a Magic card. I don't, if I'm honest, for the most part. Even in franchises that I enjoy, I'm not a big fan of it, although I guess the Golden Throne's an example of where I'm like, yeah, that tracks. That one bit of art has to be in here. In some ways, I wish we got some cards that had like blocky, old school, literal art from the games, like the actual terrible character models of Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8. Or how about some things that have like frames that look like the old UI of the original games? I don't know, if you're going to show me essentially a CGI cutscene from the game circa 2001, why not go whole hog with it and remind me that these video games have this retro thing going on? Like there was an Extra Life secret there that kind of did this already, and we haven't seen it done in the Final Fantasy games set. I just feels like, I don't want to say lazy, because obviously there's not laziness happening here. There's so much going on with Final Fantasy. It's very obvious there's a lot of effort, time, and energy being put into the vast majority of it. But at least with this frame treatment, or some of the frame treatments, there feels like there's just not been that much care and attention. These feel phoned in or afterthoughts, perhaps panicked to be put into the product later down the line, and that's why they've had to use existing resources because there was no assets being made for this. I've always assumed that the Arcane Secret Lair was a hastily put together job, and thus they used scenes from the TV show because they didn't have time to commission commission unique new art. Yeah, there's just something about this frame treatment that rubs me up the wrong way, and that's why I've done 2 videos on it. Anyway, the next video is about combos in the set. I'll see you in that one. Ta-ta for now.